The red-hot housing market cooling off a bit in February as home sales took a step back. The combination of rising rates and very little inventory making it harder for potential buyers to compete. The average rate on a 30-year fixed-rate loan now above 4% and rising fast, by the way. But there's another issue related to affordability that maybe not enough are talking about. Tim Rood is managing director at real estate services company SitusAMC, former Fannie Mae executive, and he joins us now. Tim, good to have you back on. I was looking through some of your notes here. We need to build homes. I didn't realize that inside of every newly built home is maybe $100,000, not in lumber, but in paperwork. What's the regulatory problem here?
That's just the building side of it. Regulatory cost on building a new home basically is about a third of the cost of the new home sales price, which is just insane, right?
Wow.
It's ridiculous on so many levels, but then you even compound that, Sully, with the fact that it costs you almost $10,000 to produce a mortgage, all because of all this government overlay, the red tape and things like that. It takes less labor to build an F-150 than it does to assemble a mortgage. And it's mind-boggling because all these things flow down to and ultimately punish prospective and current homeowners.
It's hard to believe that there's that much regulation in every home, Tim. I know there's going to be some, but the fact that you're talking about a third, I mean, this seems like when government officials complain about affordability, you think this might be one thing they would actually occasionally mention.
It's such a vexing problem, Sully. The real issue is that the federal government does not have a whole lot of control over what happens at the state and the county level. A lot of these things, the costs are actually go back to, zoning prohibitions that came into place in the 1990s to basically suppress sprawl, right? They didn't want increased density in these neighborhoods. So they started putting up all of this red tape, these barriers associated with, new community development, new home construction and things like that, environmental costs, permitting costs, all of these things that was meant to just slow that growth of home ownership or the growth of new home development in a community to preserve the value of those communities.
The question, I think, Tim, probably because of my coverage of the financial crisis in 06 and 07, I get a lot of questions from people about where do I see housing going? I say, I don't know. Depends on where you are located. Some areas are going to continue to see a demographic boom. But nationally, Tim, it seems tough. I mean, rates up, inventory down, regulatory costs up, stock market lower. It just seems hard to see housing booming from here out, though. But you're the expert. What do you think?
I think we still got room to run. It's funny when you mentioned, I was thinking about when we first started talking about housing, like in 2010, in terms of the recovery, if you had bought in 2010 a median home for $70,000, you would have made $230,000 profit on that investment. And think about it this way. If you had bought that house, you probably only put $10,000, $20,000 into it because of leverage, the leverage return. You just made 100, 200% on your money. The opportunity for wealth creation and home ownership is undeniable. And while there's some oddball things happening in terms of some of the abstract numbers in the housing market, velocity in terms of how quickly homes are selling has never been hotter. And the volume in terms of aggregate sales is pretty darn near the top. So there's plenty of demand, not enough supply, a lot of runway in front of us.
Okay, the more optimistic view, and maybe we can bring down some of these regulatory costs. I mean, why don't they just put the papers in? We'll use that as insulation on the home. Tim Rood, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, see you.
All right, as we head to break.